We all have AAA games we love for their immense scale and groundbreaking graphics, and indie games for their individuality and creative freedom, but rarely talked about are the mid-sized AA games, probably because AA is kind of a shit name to be honest. With the resources to create some fairly ambitious games while not being shackled by the microtransaction bullshit plaguing a lot of the bigger titles, they can often deliver us a fantastic focused experience, and few games of recent years demonstrate this better than Vampyr. The premise is pretty simple. You play as Dr. Jonathan Reid, who has come to England to help deal with an outbreak of Spanish flu. However, he turns into a vampire and ends up killing his sister, which as far as fuck-ups go is a pretty big one. Dr. Edgar Swansea finds him and takes him under his wing at Pembroke Hospital in the hopes of dealing with the flu and the looming vampire crisis, while Reid searches for the one who turned him. The game offers you a choice in how you'll level up and progress. If you want to be a good Samaritan, you can stick to quests, killing lesser vampires and hunters for minuscule XP, and side quests given by NPCs known as investigations. However, you naturally get the option to suck people's blood, and there are some very interesting mechanics surrounding this. The game has a fairly large world, but there's no randomly generating nameless NPCs walking about for you to kill, and that makes sense. There's a horrible illness going about, so not many people will be walking around town. Instead, you're going to be getting familiar with the 16 characters in all 4 districts, with the fairly detailed citizen menu showing you their relationships to other characters, any illnesses they may have, and their blood XP quality, which is most important if you're going to be killing them. To raise a character's blood quality, you have to treat any illnesses they may have. You are a doctor after all, and unlocking hints about their life and relationships through exhausting dialogue, talking to other characters relating to them and completing side quests, with every NPC having at least one tied to them. I think this is a fantastic feature, adding a bit more depth when choosing who to kill and allowing you to not miss out on any interesting backstories no matter which route you opt for. Not to mention, once you get a character's blood XP to max and finally finish them off, it's all the more satisfying knowing that you're feeding on the perfect specimen. Thematically, I also think limiting the world to only relevant characters works well in the context of the shithole we're residing in. These districts have essentially been abandoned by any higher government, and I really like the idea of being in this small community where everyone knows each other. Since this game can be quite dialogue heavy, the devs have put real work into creating varied characters, with war veterans, gang leaders, corrupt nurses, you name it. You can make an argument that the game is honestly more dialogue oriented than it is with combat, so it's good that there's so many interesting people to learn about. So as far as the combat goes, it's serviceable enough. There's a large variety of different weapons to use with different attributes. You can use guns, one-handed machetes, or bigger two-handed weapons that usually have some sort of stun bonus, and every enemy has different resistances and weaknesses, allowing you to take a methodical approach to taking out hostiles. This complements the combat well, which is normally quite slow-paced as you dodge enemy attacks. To make that dreaded comparison, think of how Dark Souls combat is paced. You also get vampire abilities such as firing a spear made out of your blood, which is pretty hardcore, and AoE shadow attacks to name a few. The combat isn't anything special, but it does the job, though sometimes AI can be a bit bullshit with stunlock combos and a really annoying leap attack by lesser vampires, which essentially locks onto you and is pretty hard to dodge. Overall, Vampyr isn't perfect. Combat can be iffy at times, and there are graphical glitches here and there with some awkward animations, but you can tell the devs were aware of their limitations and as a result created something that plays very well, with a fleshed out citizen system and great atmosphere. I absolutely recommend this to anyone who likes story-driven games and is interested in the setting and premise. Thanks for watching.